So, 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 so we are live once again. Hi everyone, Robert here once again coming to you live to talk about all things Impact Wrestling. And this time around, we're talking about Impact Wrestling June 21st, 2018. But before we start, if you didn't watch my last live stream that I did, that was yesterday, Wednesday, make sure after you watch this video, go and head over and watch that one because you will get square away when it comes down to the latest and greatest Impact Wrestling news. The same goes to the website that hosts some of my videos, Wrestling with Wrestling. Make sure to hit that website and check out all the different reviewers and reporters and stuff like that do stuff on that website. So let's do the transition. Let's talk about the first match of the night for the Impact Tag Team titles. And by the way, to those who are gonna be joining me in on the chat room, I'm gonna be doing that at last. So if you have any question, any commentary, make sure to put it on and I'm gonna be addressing that later. So first match, CNE versus the Latin American Exchange, LAX with King on their corner. This is the first time they are wrestling with Eddie Kingston in their corner since Konnan stopped being with them at the pay-per-view Redemption. So this was a very fast-paced match. If there's a match that I would recommend for you to check it out on his entirety, would be this match. This was about 14 minutes, 15 minutes along those lines. Pure action. But at the end, we saw none other than the Latin American Exchange winning with the Street Sweeper. And they are once again the Impact Wrestling Tag Team Champion. So first thing first, it is a good little storyline from pay-per-view taping, then onto the next set of tapings that is gonna be starting next week, that is gonna be recorded in the Great North, Canada. So they at least did something for the last night of the show, because there is something that happened at the Orlando Impact Zone, is that obviously those shows are being recorded 4 days in a row, and every single day you need to have something new, something that try to give them some energy. So this was good. My only thing that I have at the back of my mind is that I don't want to see Impact Wrestling just not using CNE anymore. I want to keep them at least at the end, at the top of the tag team division. And by the way, I also noticed that the guardrails, at least during this match, they were a little bit more closer to the ring than in other occasions. Next, we got a promo. We got Jimmy Jacobs with Kongo Kong. They are calling out Brian Cage, so I guess that is gonna be the match, the big feud going on. Kongo Kong versus Brian Cage. Obviously, they say that, hey, we find your weakness, so we're gonna take advantage of that and we're gonna beat you. You're claiming to be the machine, but I am the new monster, Kongo Kong. Good promo right there. I think this is the perfect opportunity to showcase really how strong Brian Cage is. He is able to manhandle Kongo Kong, who is a big dude. That is gonna be something that is gonna go viral on social media. That is something that at this time, at this moment, Impact Wrestling needs. So obviously, another thing is that Impact Wrestling doesn't have that much tall wrestlers on their roster. So at least they're doing something with the big two of the biggest guys that they have on their roster. So that is a win on my book. Next, we got, I guess, the comedy segment of the show. We got KM, cutting a promo on Fallah Bahh. And Fallah Bahh came to the ring with, a piece of paper, a letter. And obviously, he wrote, like, on his sign language, his original language. Since, Fallah Bahh is from the Philippines, therefore, his language, his English language, probably in real life is like his second or third language. So keep that in mind. So they poke a little bit of fun at that, and that's good. That is something, a little bit more different, something more adult oriented. I bet World Wrestling Entertainment won't poke fun at something like, the language barrier, because I guess they don't want to offend people. But listen to me, man. I know there's people that poke fun at me. Someone like Alberto, whose English is worse than mine. So there's nothing to worry about it. I have a tough skin. But KM decided to thought for a second that he was gonna be facing Ritual Justice, but he ended up facing none other than Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner. Obviously, you know how this match was gonna go. It was actually quite entertaining. Scott Steiner did his classic Big Papa Pump moveset, and at the end, he was able to put him in the Steiner recliner, and that was it. Scott Steiner with the victory on that one. By the way, there's people that are gonna be commenting and talk about, that this loss might hurt KM, and I truly don't think so. I think KM, by being a comedy character, is like when you put Teflon or something on something, it is a lot harder to actually damage it. So he will rebound eventually, not that this long from here. So there's nothing to be complaining or worrying about KM's future in Impact Wrestling. So the fun person won in Big Papa Pump, Scott Steiner. Next, we got like teleconference that happened like 2 weeks ago for Slammiversary. Moose is gonna be facing Austin Aries for the title. So that is the question. It's gonna be popping up every single week. So far, so good. Who do you have as the winner of this match for the Impact World title? The retaining champion Austin Aries or Moose? Who do you see winning the belt? That is a question that I have for each and every one of you. So far, I'm leaning more towards Moose for the time being. Next, we got the Unhinged segment of the show. We got Eddie Edwards having like a PTSD segment, something along those lines. He was having all sorts of flashbacks and things like that. So he's now blaming for all his mistakes and all his failures. He's blaming all of that on Tommy Dreamer. So he is gonna be doing something with him next week. But this segment was actually quite good, interesting, something that you're not gonna see somewhere else in professional wrestling. Therefore, this is a win, another win in my book. Take advantage to the fact that you are doing a show that it is pre-recorded as is Impact Wrestling is. Next, we got the knockouts match of the night. We got Madison Rayne versus Taya Valkyrie. Okay, match. Okay, match. I know there's some people that were noticing that Taya Valkyrie is off her game, and I noticed that one too last week. But I, gave her a pass because she's getting married. She just got married with the Johnny Impact, so congratulations to her and to Johnny Impact. And I bet her mind is not 100% on professional wrestling, and probably they just call her, "Hey, Taya, are you available?" "Yes, I am available. I'm gonna be there." And she just wrestled 2 matches, and then she went home to Canada. So hopefully by this next set of tapings, she's more composed, more motivated to be in the ring. But on this match, she was not that far away from being 100%. Obviously, you knew that Madison Rayne was gonna win because Impact Management is very high on her. So, Madison Rayne, after the match, she declared that she is gonna be facing Su Yung for the Knockouts belt at Slammiversary 16. That is Slammiversary 2018. I'm still skeptical about the push of Madison Rayne as a babyface towards the top. I think this is, my fair and square opinion about this is that the people inside the Impact Management do live inside the wrestling bubble. Madison Rayne was doing a good run over there on Ring of Honor. Guess what? The people that are running Impact Wrestling do watch Ring of Honor, and they say, "Hey, could we replicate, her win her, hit as a performer from Ring of Honor towards here on Impact Wrestling?" And I think that is the wrong thing. I think I would rather see, Allen first at least get her rematch or something along those lines. But it is what it is. This is what they want. Hopefully they prove me wrong and they do a good match. But my hopes are very low, and I cannot pretend to be happy or be looking forward towards this match. Maybe they change my mind, but I highly doubt it. There's nothing that gonna be motivating me about cheering about Madison Rayne as a baby face. Next, we got obviously one of my favorite segments of the week. We got LAX Latin American Exchange once again in the hideout. And guess who's back? Back again. K-Dog is back. Tell a friend. I'm just quoted Eminem. So, oh god, Konnan show up and he's suspicious about King. He say, "Hey, you better not be involved with the people who attacked me and took me out of action." So there is that civil war brewing inside the Latin American Exchange. LAX, something that I'm looking forward to it. Something I talked about, I think, in the Hillcast a while ago. Something that I was looking forward, and it became a reality. So keep tuning in into Impact Wrestling. Keep tuning in into this channel, so we could have a little talk about all things that are gonna be happening inside the LAX Civil War. Next, we got a segment with the Mystery X Attacker, Killer Kross. So he talked about fear, and that was something that he have plenty of, and he's now gonna install that into the heart of his enemies, and he's now the new beginning. He's now the beginning of professional wrestling. Last week I was quite hyped on Killer Kross. This week, you know who he reminds me? And I know there's some wrestling geeks like me that is gonna, remind them of. You know Alex Wright from WCW? Do you remember his second gimmick, Berlin, just like the city of Germany, but instead of a regular E, it had the other Y, Berlin. So he have that type of vibe. He gave me that type of vibe, and I was like vampire-esque, and I was like, oh no, don't go there. Keep yourself being, like a lonely wolf, a lone wolf, something along those lines. Well, don't go there. Don't go there. This is not something that I want to see. So as long as they tone it down, he could, become something big on Impact Wrestling. But if they go too cheesy like Berlin, there might be, it's gonna be harder for him to get over. So I still wish him nothing but the best on Impact Wrestling, and hopefully who's gonna be his first opponent. Who would you put in the ring as the first, not necessarily a jobber or something along those lines, but his first legit contender? Who do you have in mind? Let me know in the comment section below. But because I thought about this for a second, but I don't have someone so far on Impact Wrestling that would match him on a 1-to-1 level yet. Next, we got the main event of the evening. We got Ohio versus Everything, OB, versus El Hijo del Fantasma y Pentagon Jr. Another good match, very entertaining. So it is good seeing once again Impact Wrestling keeping their TV show fresh by doing fresh matches, especially at the main event scene. Last week we got a X Division title match. This week we have a regular tag team match with former tag team champions and a former Impact World Champion. By the way, when will Fantasma wear some Impact Wrestling gold around his waist? When that is gonna be happening? So another good match. Obviously, Pentagon Jr was able to win because he is one of the favorites by the management, and he's over in the Impact Zone. After the match, Sami Callihan decided to show up and attack Pentagon Jr. And they aimed at taking off his mask off. So they decided to rip it apart, at least one side of his face. And then Hijo del Fantasma came in and he did the save. This type of angle, it is good. I don't remember outside of Rey Mysterio losing his mask, and that was like 20 years ago. I don't remember a luchador, alleged luchador mask, losing his mask on American wrestling television. That might be something that might be interesting. I still think that the one that should be losing his mask and would go all the way to the top if he does that, that would be El Hijo del Fantasma. I think Pentagon Jr., by the history of his mask, he should keep it intact. If you don't know the history of his mask, this is his mask. Let me do like a 2 minutes, history summary, right? there is a wrestler in Mexico called Octagon, right? That means 8 sides, just like the UFC ring. So the booker down there on Mexico, he decided to, hey, what if I do a evil twin storyline? And instead of being Octagon, the one with the 8 sides, we'll go with Pentagon being the 5 sides. But what happened? Every time that they will give a wrestler that mask, something crazy would happen. There was one that ended up dying. There was another one that had like a car accident and ended up not wrestling anymore. So the whole idea behind it is, it was the myth around the mask. It was that Pentagon mask was cursed, right? So when Pentagon Jr was finishing his wrestling school, the promoters over there offered him the Pentagon mask, and they asked him, and he said yes. And they asked him, hey, do you have fear? And he said no. Zero fear, basically cero miedo. That is his motto as a wrestler. And believe it or not, he was able to make it over. He was able to overcome that basic, fear, more, something, wacky and, weird about that mask. He was able to overcome that history myth about that luchador mask. And another thing I might need to explain, luchadors Mexico, they take their mask very seriously. When I'm gonna give you an example. There's one of the big luchador, superstar. He would be like the Hulk Hogan of Mexico, who's called El Santos, right? You go out and Google him, you're gonna find him even on soap operas and stuff like that. It was the top star. Believe it or not, that guy, when he was first given that mask, he did never took it off, at least on public. He even, if he was with a female or something along those lines, he did it with the mask on, and he only showed his face when he was given a certain amount of time that he was gonna pass away. So he decided to go to Mexican television and reveal his face. That is the level of respect that they have for the mask. That might not translate that much into the American market, but this is gonna be being eaten up by the Mexican market. So, overall thoughts about this show: a win in my book, especially by being the last show for the setup tapings. But I'm looking forward for next week. That is gonna be on up north in Canada. So things that are gonna be happening next week: we got the debut of Rich Swann. So that is the boyfriend, the husband, sorry, of Soo Young. So let's see how good the guy is. I know a friend of mine who knows him personally, and he said that he is a very outstanding dude. He's a legit guy, but it is not only about that. Could he overcome having the World Wrestling Entertainment label? That is the only thing that he needs to do. He needs to be willing to take that label as a ex-WWE guy, throw it into the trash, and be reborn once again. As long as people do not judge him as a WWE reject, he will get over anywhere in professional wrestling. But now he got that thing. He got to overcome that. So best of luck for him. Let's see what you got next week. We also got Eddie Edwards going to Philadelphia to House of Hardcore to hunt down Tommy Dreamer, his former friend that was in the middle, being by proxy the savior of Eddie Edwards' arch enemy, Sammy Callahan. I'm looking forward. Let's see what they do. Hopefully, they do something like this week. They do something on location, something that is not 100% in a wrestling ring, in a wrestling arena, something more different, something backstage out of the House of Hardcore show, maybe something in the crowd, something along those lines. Also, next week we will have an exhibition match for those people who like the flippy stuff. We got Matt Sydal versus Damon Savior. Let's see what they do. At what time they will go on the car. I'm expecting like Desmond to beat Matt Sydal, so he could have like a title match in the near future. But let's see what things happen. I I think it is time for Matt Sydal to drop that bell. I think he had it for long enough. It would be good to see Desmond Xavier having the title, for the first time, maybe in the near future. Also, we will have finally the debut of the Desi Hit Squad on Impact Wrestling Television. I know they have done some things on One Night Stand or other things like that, Twitch or something along those lines, but this is the first time for them being on TV. Let's see how they work together. They have a manager. They have an audience that is most likely gonna get behind. I'm talking about the India market. So let's see how they get themselves over. And I know there's people who say, "Hey, why do you have to use a traditional costume?" I don't know the word. I don't know if that even is that word is correct. Is the correct one, but Indian type of clothes for the guys. Don't Not everybody in India dresses like that. Yeah, everybody knows, but I think if you were to ask them, they would be more than happy to put their country of origin or their heritage over. So there's nothing wrong about that. There's nothing wrong about wearing a flag that you have your heritage on. There's nothing wrong about that. So hopefully they are able to get themselves over, especially if they work good as a tag team. That is something Impact Wrestling is gonna be needing in the near future. They need to mix things up in the tag team division. There's so much matches that we could do with Call of Lee, LAX, and CNE. We need to add a new, fresh ingredient to that, that great cooking that it is booking Impact Wrestling. So, I guess let me put the first screen and take a look at the chat room for the time being. Oh, I think it's running like last night, so fuck it. Sorry about that. I guess that is it for me. Thank you a lot for being with me for this almost half an hour. So pat yourself in the back for being all the way till the end. And I will see you Wednesday for the Empire Wrestling News Roundup. And hopefully I will be able to squeeze at least one more video. I'm working on the Scott Steiner one. And I also want to do something for Vader. So I just need to get that time and that motivation so I could do something that is gonna be evergreen, something that people 2-3 years from now are gonna be watching. So that's it for me. Thank you so much for listening, and I will see you next time. Goodbye.